I'm the Balam96, and this is Donkey Kong 64 any% 3 Kong. Let me just delete my file here. And yeah, ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, welcome to any% 3 Kong. This is the middle category for any%. And this is potentially one of the most interesting versions of any%. So normally in casual gameplay, what you do is you go and visit Cranky, do the training barrels, and then exit normally. But let's just skip it because why not? I'm gonna dive underwater and then just swim through this wall, like so, and hit the loading zone to DK Isles. What defines this category? In short, it is beat the game as fast as possible, unlock 3 Kongs, no DK Helm early, and no DK Mad Jack. That's the general rule set. It says you're still the splash screen. There we go. Okay, it's done. So we're going to talk to K-Lumsy here to open Japes. I will say, this game auto-saves a lot. Yeah, this game auto-saves a lot. And so, yeah, we can reset in some quite interesting places. So as soon as K-Lumsy appears, we can reset the game. And that's because on every loading zone, the game autosaves. You can beat it with less than 3 Kongs. You can technically beat it without unlocking a single Kong. But it's a very, very difficult run. 1 Kong is the simplest out of... well, it's one of the most simple versions. But 3 Kong is more interesting. So we're going to do something here called Intro Story Glitch. And what we're doing is we're playing the intro cutscene in the background whilst we're doing other stuff in the game file. And so the intro cutscene is 4 minutes and 26 seconds long. And during that time, we have to kill it somehow. We cannot make it faster, we can make it slower though. And in between, or in the intro cutscene, there's like 7 different mini cutscenes, and those are spread with different fade outs. The first one's at 55 seconds, and what happens is if there is a cutscene happening over the fade out point, it transitions into the next cutscene. So I have to wait a bit, and you can see that the game is turning slightly darker there. And that is an indication that the game is fading out into the next part of the intro story. But if we cancel a game fading out into the intro story with a DK transition, it cancels the fade out itself. And that means that we can watch more cutscenes and do other stuff whilst we wait for the next one. This next one is at 124.5. And there you go. And now we're going to be doing the 2 training barrels required to beat the game. Those are Orange Barrel. And Orange Barrel is needed because we need to do some lag assisted clips later on in the run. And Barrel because we need to pick up barrels, and that is for Lanky phase. Dive Barrel and Vine Barrel are the other 2 barrels, however they are not needed because Dive Barrel lets you dive, but we can do a glitch to let us dive in all the situations that we need to. And Vine Barrel spawns the vines, but every vine that we come across we can bypass in some way, shape or form. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be damaging ourselves, whilst also doing some quality of life stuff for later on in the run. And this is to make certain travelling faster. So we're going to be tagging upper warp 2, which is just outside of Angry Aztec. What's coming up is called a moon kick, and what happens is if you interrupt an aerial attack with the kicking animation, DK gains some interesting vertical properties, like so. And this lets us bypass the vines over here. And we're now going to take some fall damage, which also helps us kill ourselves. And we're also tagging Warp 3 for later on in the run. And that's when we're visiting K. Rool. We're going to damage ourselves one more time into this loading zone here. And if we line ourselves up correctly in terms of loading zone, and after 3:25.1, after we've started the intro story, you can damage yourself or kill yourself into the loading zone, which opens Angry Aztec, which is a property of intro story glitch. Why did I decide to run this game? Because mainly C-Fox7. I watched C-Fox7 like 3 years ago, and he was running the beginner version of this category, and that was when the beginner version was the actual any percent. And then I just got hooked from then on. So what we're going to do is we're going to view the main file here, and this loads the file into memory. And this is because we're going to be doing something to write stuff into the file. So we're entering Monkey Smash here, which is the multiplayer game, and this gives us all the all the guns, and also Simian Slam, and we also get to write certain items to our file. So we've just collected 10 oranges, therefore 10 oranges are going to be in our file. We're entering Factory Boss and X-Tink because that clears the cutscene. And we're entering Jetpack because this gives us all the moves for the game. Also, I need to turn on Infinite Oranges. I'm glad that I just remembered that. And that's because in this game there are a few soft lock opportunities, and because this is a marathon run, we don't want to end up in a soft lock because that's run over. The final thing which we need to do is get pulled into the game. There are 10 cutscenes on the main menu. That's not one of them, or that's not a good one. 3 of them do not pull you into the game, and the other 7 do. The 3 which don't are Night Cycle, i.e. turning it to night, Rain Cycle, i.e. turning it to rain, and Leg Shake. Thankfully we got a good cutscene on the second opportunity there. Each time we get a bad cutscene, that's 15 seconds lost, but it doesn't really matter all too much. And now we're in the game. But there's a bit of a difference. We're in something which is called main menu modes. And this is because main menu itself is a game mode, and every game mode has its permissions on what you can and can't do. In the main menu, you cannot pause, you cannot save, and you cannot die. And so therefore, because the game thinks we're in the main menu, we cannot pause, the game cannot save, and we cannot die unless we hit an insta-death pit or we store damage. So that means that we're going to have to do some interesting things to bypass situations. That's a little time saver there. If you hit the loading zone at the same time you pick the golden banana up, you get to skip the dance. And so now we're entering Japes. Sorry, that was my clock. The main purpose why we're entering Japes is to free Diddy. What we can do is we can get pushed by this bush here and just clip out of bounds. DK64 is known as the game without walls, and it is a very, very fitting name indeed. And so now we're into this area. And we can climb this tree and do a kick up the slope. And that saves us a bit of time getting to this cannon. Nice camera work. The camera, please. The camera can be a little bit frustrating from time to time. in terms of how it operates, but usually you can fix it pretty quickly. Oh, by the way, that's all the golden bananas we're going to pick up in this run. So because we entered Monkey Smash, we have DK's gun. We also get all the upgrades, such as Sniper Scope. So normally we won't be able to shoot that switch from this far away. But because we have Sniper Scope, we can. And the same with this one. These switches have quite buggy hitboxes. And we've just redid it. Does any N64 game have walls? If you think hard enough, no game has any walls, really. So yet again, if I can actually get it, we're doing the pseudo dive glitch, which allows us to dive without having the dive barrel. And we're going to be swimming to either void or enter the main menu, or not main menu, main area of the level. And we've just exited Japes. So now we're going to move to the next level in the game, which is Angry Aztec. And our main reason for entering Aztec is to free Tiny. And the three Kongs you're freeing are DK, because DK isn't technically free to start off with, so you can get the yellow question mark, which is a thing where DK isn't free, and you enter a tag barrel with another Kong. Also, B-lockers are very weak. The B-locker is the thing which guards the portal. And so if you just slap with DK on the right-hand side of a B-locker, you can just enter a DK portal just like that. We've got our first instance of a lag clip coming up. DK64 developers realised this game was pretty laggy, and so to combat this, they introduced a algorithm which sped up the Kong depending on how much the game lagged. If I can actually get the oranges to not explode immediately. Okay, well if you don't get it, it's fine enough. But the general idea is that the more the game lags, the easier it is to clip through walls. And doing a clip there allows you to skip that cutscene. It's a 13-second time loss if you don't get it. But it's not the end of the world. Even though we have infinite oranges, I'm going to be picking up oranges just like if it was without infinite oranges. Because if you don't have infinite oranges, you have to pick up a lot of oranges to give you a bit of a buffer for, let's say, an orange gauntlet. In terms of tricks, yes, DK is the fastest Kong out of the 5. Can't remember which one's the slowest. Normally you would have to melt ice here, but by doing a chimpy charge into a slope, you can clip out of bounds and just head straight to the area where you free Tiny. Now, speedrunners can't spell, so let's just spell it with an I. No, the real reason for that is normally you're meant to raise some platforms here in order to spell Kong to free Tiny. But because we're not raising the platform, because the cutscene for that is pretty slow, the game is waiting for an event to happen in order for you to spell it correctly. And so if you spell it with the wrong letter to start off with, you're allowed to spell it correctly afterwards without raising the platforms. So we spell it O-Kong because that's the fastest. You can do it G-Kong or N-Kong. G-Kong is fastest in some scenarios, but N-Kong, to my knowledge, is fastest in no scenario whatsoever. So yet again, swimming out of bounds. That's a mathematical error which is only present in the US version of the game. And we're going to void so we get to the DK portal faster. And we've exited Angry Aztec. Now, if you haven't seen this run before, you might think, well, the first level's Japes, the second level's Aztec, so surely the third level must be Frantic Factory, because that's the third level in the game. Not quite. We go to an entirely different level to start off with, and that level is not Frantic Factory, Hideout Helm. And that's just because it's faster. So we can use Tiny here, because we've got all the moves from the start, from all the main menu madness. We can just immediately monkey port up to Helm. Normally you would have to wait until Crystal Caves to get up this move. So you'd have to enter Crystal Caves at some point, but we don't need to because we got all the moves. So by doing a kick slide, ponytail twirl, and then a kick slide again, we can get on top of this mouse. And by clipping a small seam here, we can get out of bounds and enter the Hideout Helm loading zone. Also, this one here, that wall is really, really weak as well, so you can just backflip out of bounds there. Funny story, until around about 2009, nobody realised this game was broken as much as it is. Like, there was only like 1 or 2 glitches around back in like 2009. But like over the past 7 years, it's become incredibly broken. So normally you need Lanky to climb this slope, but by using slope resets, you can skip ever having Lanky there. And now we're going to we're now going to go to DK. The reason why is we're going to be doing a very inconsistent trick called switch kick, which happens if you moon kick off this switch. It is very inconsistent because it's just inconsistent and tight and whatever. Clump also, the thing which is throwing the lines, is also a real pain here. He's actually in the worst position right now because he's right in front of the camera, which affects the actual direction we hold on the analog stick. There we go. So yeah, that trick has been known to kill several runs in the past by taking several minutes. So we got it kind of quickly there. That was around about, what, 30 seconds? What we're going to do now is we're going to height gain on a small bit of out of bounds grate here. If I can actually find it. There we go. We stay out of bounds. Have we just inbounds? No. The camera is really, really poorly placed here. That was really, really lucky. If we inbounds, normally it would take a orange clip to get out. We could still use an orange clip, it would just be less pressure because we have infinite oranges. We're going to tag warp 1 here just in case we can't get a glitch quick enough. Also, we're going to split the crown door. Normally you need 4 crowns to bypass, but by just clipping this terminal here, we can bypass through this area. Also coming up is the Rareware/Nintendo coin door, and normally you would need both of those to access key 8. But we don't need those because we can just walk out of bounds. We also have to look at the key or the window here, because there was something called fake key, where it wouldn't register in the inventory. Also, because we're in main menu mode, we have to clip out of this area. We have to do a very difficult orange clip called Key 8 clip, which we just got. And that lets us escape that room, but we still need to escape Hideout Helm because the door is closed. So we need to do another orange clip. This one, okay, fair enough. I'll take that. That one is a lot harder than it looks. That one saves 50 seconds on doing a walk escape. But not a lot of people do it because it is so difficult. So that is Hideout Helm exited, let's say. And now we've got to enter Frantic Factory. We have 2 bananas, the B locker requires 15, but this is DK64. This trick is also a little bit inconsistent, but not as bad as Key 8 O clip or the clip in the hallway. There we go. And now we're in Frantic Factory. Also, we have to tag Warp 1 here. Normally you would open a hatch to get to this area that we're shown there, but we have to tag Warp 1 because A, it's faster, and B, you cannot exit normally by climbing up the pole, because that pole doesn't exist if, well, it isn't climbable if you have an open hatch, let's say. We're also using a damage boost there. That is an orange clip. And that clips us through the wall, which makes us enter this area faster. That's also a little time saver. That cancels the splat animation. And now we're entering Trophenscough. So there is something which is called a ledge clip. Normally you need 200 bananas to get past this area. But, yeah, we're glitches, we can bypass this. There is a small gap between every, where the floor ends and where the wall starts, where you can clip through, like so. And that lets us enter Mad Jack before intended, let's say. This boss fight is the hardest boss fight in the game. And that's because A, it's random, and B, it's kind of difficult to master this. It takes a lot of practice, and the places where the switches are placed are completely random. Mad Jack can do Mad Jack can do two kinds of jumps, a fast jump and a slow jump. But every single phase has a set amount of jumps. So by doing all fast jumps, we can complete a phase faster. Mad Jack is also kind of an idiot. And he can easily punch us off. We were kind of lucky there. So Mad Jack does 12 jumps for this phase. So he's going to land in that one that I was just jumping from. And he's going to be on white, and therefore we can hit this switch. Now, Mad Jack changes his AI for the 4th and 5th phase. He can go back on himself. But if we abuse the AI, we can get him to do 3 fast jumps, maybe even 4 if we're lucky. Per slow jump. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Where is the switch? The switch is nowhere to be seen. Ah, it's over here. Also, he fires lasers. This is meant to be more intimidating than fireballs, but really it isn't. Lasers are more predictable, and they're easier to dodge. Ah. I will say you can fight any boss with any con, and you'll still be able to get the key. Counted incorrectly there. Also, that is really rotten luck for the final switch. The location of the final switch is the most important. And we've just defeated Mad Jack. And now, because we tagged Warp 1 earlier, we can exit Frantic Factory just by taking Warp 1. And so now it's off to fight K. Rool. Now you might think, if you've played this game casually, hang on, what about keys 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 and 7? Well, you don't need 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And that's because the game, if you have key 8, you need keys 6 and 7 to get key 8, you need key 5 to get 6 and 7, so on and so forth. Long story short, you need keys 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 and 7 in order to get key 8 by the game's expectations. And so it only checks keys 8 and 3 because those are the only two keys which are not required to open a level. So now, because we've turned in keys 8 and 3, we have spawned the final boss, and we can go and fight a kind of long boss fight. But each phase has its own little knick-knack to it, which makes it just that little bit interesting. I will say as well, for anyone who's wondering, as I said I think earlier in this run, this is not the fastest any percent route. The fastest any percent route is very, very, very inconsistent and most certainly not marathon safe. But the second fastest is pretty marathon safe, but it's, in my opinion, not the most interesting to show off out of the few. The world record for any percent as a whole is 2016 by KiwiKiller67, and that is on the Wii U Virtual Console release. The Wii U Virtual Console release has less lag in it, which makes certain elements, especially the K. Rool fight, a lot faster. But because it has less lag, there is not as many lag-assisted tricks you can perform. In fact, it is so bad, like, that you can't even orange lag into Factory because it's that bad. So, it is possible to defeat this game on VC in the fastest method, it's just a lot harder than the N64 version. So what we're going to be doing is reducing lag. So contrary to before where we were increasing lag, this one we're reducing lag. And that's because AI moves faster with less lag. If we jump in at a specific time, we can enter the barrel whilst the cutscene's playing. And that's a little bit faster because it means that we can do certain movement faster. Also, the amount of punches that K. Rool does before he's open for attack is fixed. So if you just memorise the counts, it's pretty easy to defeat DK phase. And there we go, that is 1/5 of the boss fight down. Now on to the shortest phase of them all, Diddy phase. This one is hard to do, or hard to master as a speedrunner. It is very... K. Rool has some punching mechanics which are a bit annoying. You can also backflip into this rocket barrel to save some time. I didn't get it because Diddy wouldn't backflip. But that's alright because at least we have rocket barrel. If you do that glitch and you don't have rocket barrel, you can actually enter the rocket barrel without having rocket barrel. Please. Thank you. By positioning Diddy in a certain way, you can get his shots to clip through a light. Please. And this saves some time. And there we go, that's Diddy face down. For 3 Kong as a whole, in terms of a category, the fastest known completion time for 3 Kong is a 3609. And hashtag humble brag, that is by me. Lanky phase is all about barrel placement and timing your instrument plays. So if we throw the barrel to the down left, we can get K. Rool to be very near the banana peel when we play the instrument. That's the wrong placement. Okay, so because I placed that in the wrong place, I was thinking of the final hit there rather than the third hit. The fourth phase is going to change a little bit. So probably not gonna, no, we're not gonna meet the fast cycle. That's close enough, that only lost us a few seconds. So now K. Rool has been beaten up 3 times and he's got a light on his head, and well, what do? You get your little minions to try and take it off. And so we get a little bit of a cutscene here of K. Rool trying to get the light off his head. And this is a little bit of a preparation for the final 2 phases. Tiny phase is a lot about remembering toe patterns. It is a fair bit of memory and lag reduction, Tiny phase. And Chunky phase is heavily well, I wouldn't say trick based, it's movement based, I would say, and optimizing your movement for Chunky phase. So, as with DK phase, this fight is kind of laggy, so what we're going to be doing, the best thing ever, staring up at a ceiling. Whilst K. Rool does his Simian slam attacks. Like DK phase, if you remember how much he does per phase, you can save a bit of time. Like, you can go here, and you can enter the barrel nice and early. This is the first time that we've entered Mini Monkey, so you get a bit of text saying, here's Mini Monkey, here is how you operate it. And now the second best thing, looking at a floor. If you throw oranges, they can actually damage K. Rool's toes. If you use the gun, that's kind of laggy. If you use the gun, not only is it laggy because you have to stare up at the toes, hang on. You're also using your gun, and because you have Sniper Scope is a very laggy upgrade, and so using Sniper Scope will lag the game a ton, which makes AI slower, etc. Yeah, you kind of missed a lot of the run. We're now in the final boss fight. Yet again, turning the camera away for lag reduction and turning the camera upwards. if you're interested in getting into DK64 as a speed game, I would recommend starting off with our beginner Any%, which is known as Any% 5 Kong, aptly named because you unlock 5 Kongs and it's the Any% route, which does so. Either that or no levels early, which is also aptly named because you do not enter any levels early. Those are our most beginner friendly routes for anyone who's wanting to learn this game. And so this is now the final section of the Tiny Face fight. We lost a bit of time there because we didn't get a kick slide off the pole. So as I said, a lot of it is toe pattern memory. Aside from Donkey Kong 64, I don't run a whole load else. I do the occasional Banjo-Tooie run. Banjo-Tooie is also a fantastic game, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, also the schedule for up-and-coming runs is what that bot posted in chat. So, coming up on the final phase here, this is Chunky Face, as I said, kind of movement specific. And this is down to also a little bit of punch timing. There's specific times when you're meant to punch K. Rool and you'll take a hit out of him. And if you miss that period, you'll get the well-known backflip if you've watched the highlight of someone backflipping, choking the world records. So, yeah, that's... If we look down, that's also a bit of flag reduction. Something we're doing here is something which was featured in the 101% Lotad. That didn't go to plan. If you do a spin attack and then do a Simian slam into the pads, you save a little bit of time over just walking over there. Thank you, Nero. Also, time's coming up soon. Damn. It's a very hard trick, and sometimes you'll get it. The pad is not wanting to be hit here. So this is the final punch coming up. It was good that I was able to show that off once. So that is the Lotad strat. That saves a bit of time over just walking there. Okay, time is coming up. And time. And that is Donkey Kong 64. So thank you for having me on this marathon. If you want to contact me, there is you can whisper me on Twitch, or you can contact me via Twitter. My Twitter is in my Twitch as well. Or you can join the DK64 Discord. That is in the resources page of the speedrun.com page of DK64. So yeah, thank you very much.
Nice one that you got there. And yeah, thanks that you will be here. And yeah, nice run though.
Thank you. What was the time?
The time is 38:49, but we have some issues with the timer, so we have to reset the timer right now because of the PC is totally done. It can happen.
Okay.
But shouldn't be. So okay, we
Okay.
reset the timer and reset.
Okay, next up we have Mike in the room, and he's running such a good game.
Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening.
The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is he running. And let me look on the schedule. Have we some minutes? What the heck? We're 20 minutes
What?
from
Really?
the estimate away. What the heck is going on? Okay. I would recommend that we take a little break to take a pee break.
Yes. Ich denke mal, das
And we're doing it in 20 minutes. Just a second. Mike, would you have a little break to set up a pee or something like that? Okay, you have the key already set it in. Okay, because of we want to do some yeah, how would I say to it? We're yeah, we have to pee and
The
eat.
speed is going too fast. Please slowly down.
Yeah, the speed run's going too fast. No, we have to pee and eat something because of I'm awake so 36 hours, something like that, and now I'm streaming only on my side, and I'm doing this whole thing alone. My friend is only sitting here and giving me some food that I'm not starving or dying like here.
Show must be on.
Yeah, show must be go on. Just give me 5 minutes or 10 minutes, then we're ready to go. And then we're fine actually. So, okay, then I mute me for the second. And I tell you when you connect to the server, yeah? Okay, a little bit of doing stuff right in the background that you can hear. We don't have to hide something, or so you can listening to it, and we have to do some management. Okay, the game, the run, the game. We have to change the game again. It's